The cake arrived with a single candle, its flame trembling in the quiet of the restaurant, mirroring the loneliness the man had tried so hard to hide. He sat straight-backed in his chair, hands folded politely, dressed neatly for no one in particular. Around him, laughter spilled from other tables, families leaned close, couples clinked glasses. But his seat across the table remained painfully empty, a reminder that another year had passed with no one to share it with. He smiled at the waiter out of habit, not joy, and in that moment the weight of being a single father, strong for everyone else, invisible for himself, settled heavily on his chest. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet miracles that happen when strangers choose compassion, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us why humanity still matters. He had not planned a celebration. The restaurant had been a last-minute decision after a long day at work and an even longer evening helping his children with homework before their early bedtime. He told himself it was practical, just dinner, nothing more. But when the candle appeared, something inside him cracked. Since his wife passed 3 years earlier, birthdays had become reminders of absence instead of milestones. He had learned to pack lunches, braid hair, attend school meetings, and smile through exhaustion. Yet no amount of strength prepared him for the silence of moments meant to be shared. At the next table sat 3 little girls, triplets with identical curls and dresses in soft pastel colors. They had been watching him long before the candle arrived. Children notice what adults overlook. They noticed how he smiled with his mouth but not his eyes. They noticed how he stared at the flame, as if it were telling him a story only he could hear. Their mother had stepped away briefly, leaving them whispering among themselves with serious expressions far beyond their years. When the girls finally stood up, their small shoes barely making a sound against the carpet, he did not notice them at first. He was lost in memories of birthdays past, his late wife laughing too loudly, frosting on her nose, children clapping offbeat. The girls reached his side, one of them gently tugging at the edge of his sleeve, another placing a small hand over her heart, in imitation of something she must have seen adults do in movies. Their presence startled him, but what followed changed everything. They leaned close, their faces earnest, their eyes full of an empathy no one had taught them. Without words spoken aloud, they made their request known through gestures and hushed urgency. They wanted him to pretend, just for a moment, that he was not alone, that he belonged to them, that this birthday could feel like something warm instead of hollow. The idea struck him like a wave, unexpected and overwhelming. Before he could fully process it, they climbed onto the empty chairs around him, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. One adjusted the napkin on his table. Another pointed excitedly at the cake. The third folded her hands and closed her eyes dramatically, as though preparing for a celebration ritual. People nearby began to notice. Heads turned, smiles spread. A quiet ripple of curiosity moved through the room. Something inside the man shifted. The tight knot in his chest loosened, just slightly. He nodded, playing along, letting himself step into their world. For the first time that evening, his smile reached his eyes. The candle still burned, but now it reflected in 4 faces instead of 1. The restaurant seemed brighter, the noise less distant. In that small circle, grief loosened its grip. Their mother returned, startled at first, then frozen by the scene before her. She saw the way her daughters leaned toward him, how his shoulders relaxed, how a man who had arrived alone was suddenly surrounded by warmth. She did not interrupt. She simply watched, eyes glistening, understanding that something sacred was unfolding. As the candle was blown out, the room erupted into spontaneous applause. Strangers clapped not for a birthday, but for a moment of shared humanity. The man felt tears threaten, but he did not hide them. He let them come, because for once, they were not only about loss, they were about connection. Stay with me here, and before the ending, leave a comment telling us where you're watching from or who this story made you think of. Your words matter more than you know. The girls eventually returned to their table, waving enthusiastically as if they had known him forever. The man sat back, heart pounding, overwhelmed by how 3 children had given him something he did not realize he had been missing. Permission to feel joy again. Not because his pain had vanished, but because it had been seen. He paid his bill and stood to leave, but not before the girl's mother approached him. No grand speeches followed, just a quiet exchange of gratitude, the kind that lingers long after words fade. He walked out into the night carrying more than leftovers and memories. He carried hope. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that even the smallest acts can change a life, please like this video, share it, and comment below. Your engagement helps spread these stories of light further than you can imagine. Sometimes, all it takes is a whisper, a seat at the table, and the courage to care.